24-hour party people, it is I, Tim the Brand Weaver, and you are listening to Branding for Breweries, the live show and podcast that brings as much gosh darn value to your wonderful ears as possible. We're here pulling the experts from far and wide to help your brewery thrive, survive and thrive, and get out there and be the very best that you can be, selling tons and tons of that glorious liquid that you create so very proudly. And as always, today is no exception. I am joined by the incredibly talented, incredibly attractive, incredibly has more hair than I do, Mr. Warren Bondy from Beer Marketeers. And now don't panic, we're not going to be talking to you about just posting on Instagram and sending out an email newsletter. We can do that till the cows come home and you're probably sick of it. But what Warren is fantastic at is helping you guys and girls get your ducks in the row. Get organized before you then go out and make those next steps and really start pushing the right messaging in the right places. So as always, friends, family, gentlemen, countrymen, whoever you are, put your hands together in a digital format for Mr. Warren Bundy. Warren!
Hello. Welcome. Thank you.
Hey, man. How's it going, Warren? You good, buddy?
It's going great. I've got a handsome compliment this early on my end, so I'm feeling good today, confident now.
Hey, I've got to big my guests up. I've got to make them feel comfortable and welcome, so they give me all the juicy goss during the conversations, man. Warren, as people can probably hear from your accent, you're not from the UK. So before we get diving into how the listeners and watchers of this show can really get organized, would you mind giving them a little bit of an overview about yourself and Beer Marketeers so they know why they should tune in for the next 40 minutes or so?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, you're right. I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. Been in the beer industry now for about 12 years. Started in distribution, worked chain distribution side here in the U.S. and then on-premise, so sold to bars and restaurants. Did beer, wine, and liquor sales then. I was in tech marketing during that time as well as moonlighting, kind of double dipping on both sides. I had started this little marketing business in college, and then while I was moonlighting, I said, I really don't think that distribution is the place that I want to be forever. And I met my now business partner in Beer Marketeers, and he was a designer by schooling and by trade. And so we started working together. And then from there, we grew the company throughout the country. We went from the two of us to almost 20 of us throughout the U.S. And now we're just beer marketeers, we're wine marketeers, we're whiskey marketeers, and we're even weed marketeers sometimes.
Dude, okay, well, you can market the weed in your end of the woods. Over here in the UK, that's still a no-no, my man.
That's fair. That's totally fair.
So, like you say, there's 20 of you now. You guys are working with like loads of breweries, different sizes and stuff. But let's get stuck into this, man. Where do you see these breweries time and time again falling down? What are they getting wrong?
Sure. Yeah. Well, man, it's always so surprising that sometimes we'll get these breweries that are in the bigger or medium-sized realm of the industry in here, and this 30,000 barrel to 50,000 or plus barrels a year, company, and we come in as their marketing team, or they're interviewing us. We're talking about structure and organization. They have none. It's chaos. There's no tasking anywhere. There's no responsibility or accountability on that side. It's just an email, and then you've got salespeople fighting with marketing people and so on, because they're shooting emails and they're getting lost. So that's the first thing we see every time. There's just no structure. There's nothing there holding everybody accountable.
Why do you think that is, man? Like, because in a brew house, you have to be structured, right? You've got to be organized. You've got to know what you're doing. You know where your stuff is coming from. Why are they not paying that? Why do you think they're not giving that same level of attention to their marketing?
I think it's especially over the last handful of years, it's been a lot, because when craft beer was blowing up here, you didn't have to necessarily think about it, right? You could make good beer, and if you had decent marketing or branding, you were okay. You were making it happen. And so some of these places that are around 10 years or older, they haven't needed it, right? There wasn't as much competition. Some of it is that they're not necessarily super business-minded people. They're crafters, they're artists, right? They're making a product that does take a lot, like a chef, to work on and to build, but they're not necessarily the people who are who are like, okay, I've got to run this ad and I got to do this campaign. I've got to make sure that my brand is well represented out there. Sometimes it's just back of mind. And then by the time it is front of mind, they're trying to scramble and get it together. They're hiring people who are marketing people, but maybe there's just no structure there and they're just shooting from the hip.
Yeah, and man, that's got to be a challenge, because I think for people such as yourself and me, it's what we do day in, day out. We live and breathe this stuff, and so it's just so obvious. I keep on having to remind myself of, like, all my brewery friends and, you know, people who listen out there, like, they're in it for the brewing. They're in it for making this beautiful liquid, this nectar, and everything else is just an extra, which it's an essential, but not necessarily something they want to do. So I get it why the time's not invested sometimes, and I feel for them. But this is why you're here, Warren. You're here to help. You're going to be the Sherpa today, right? You're going to guide them through this journey and get them set up on their journey to marketing nirvana, as it were. So,
Absolutely.
all right, man. Before we get stuck in, actually, it's very wise to say there are comments available. If anyone wants to put a question into the feed, please do. Warren will try and answer as and when he can. And even Henry has dropped a message in here. And Henry, we'll pick up some questions at the end of this chat. So, you know, we'll go through the flow and then we'll, you know, rattle through all the questions, as many as possible at the end. So, Warren, my man,
Yeah.
if you're saying before they start getting out there, posting on their social channels and getting their newsletter up and running and attending all these events, what they got to do, what they got to have in place, man.
Yeah. So structure, that's the easiest thing to say right there. Structure. Get some kind of organization going. I don't care. You know, we always preach a certain, platform just because it's easy to use. But at the end of the day, our number one thing that I try to talk about and tell people is get yourself organized in a structural way so that you can look at it from big picture as an owner, as a, an investor, whatever it might be, and see where your staff or your team, if it's just you and one other person, that's okay still too, right? But the structure is the number one thing. Get a place to put all the upcoming needs, and then the layout that the how you're going to attack those needs, and then have a place to continue to feed into that in different avenues. And we'll go down those avenues here, I'm sure. But the number one thing is structure right away. Get organized and get some kind of structure built for your team.
Okay, so get organized. I get that, but that's like really high level. Can you
Yes.
maybe break that down a little bit more so people are going, okay, this is what a structured approach, like a foundation for my marketing, looks like?
100%. Yeah. So for us, we'll use a platform like called Asana, right? In that platform, we've got everything that's marketing needs. We've got a content calendar. We've got an ad calendar. We've got creative requests. We've literally got the brewing calendar for some of our clients on there so that we know what's coming up next, what's brewing, right? So we're looking at this full dashboard and we're going, okay, what's the goals for sales? It's on there too. We have sales goals. It's telling us what we need to do. And then we can discuss that in a meeting, go, all right, well, here's how marketing can support sales. From there, we build around whether it's a campaign, whether it's a pre-built strategy that's set for the year or for the quarter. We're going to build around that, build assets, design assets, build campaigns on social, build campaigns in email. We're going to tie it all together in that. So when you look at this structure and you look at this get organized piece, it's literally building a dashboard, basically. Build this dashboard where you can input everything that you believe that you need to focus on for the next quarter, for the next year, for the next 2 years. Put it all in here, and then start deciphering it into different categories, or in Asana, for example, different projects. Like I said, a social calendar, an ad calendar, an email marketing calendar, a creative request folder. I mean, all of these things can be really beneficial for you because at the end of the day, for example, if you need multiple different kinds of signage for the sales team, they need them with different logos for different accounts. You put that request in, you put a logo on that request, then your design team can turn around and produce that POS, that point of sale for someone. And so then the point of sale is done and they can go get it printed. They're tagged, it's thumbs up, or it's marked as complete, and now you're in business.
Nice. So I can completely see and relate to the need to use a platform and get organized for the communications between different team members. But if we like really kind of drill down to this, you mentioned about being like, well, what's the goal? So if someone's setting up they're starting from scratch, man. Like they've got nothing, and they've gone, right, well, my goal is we're going to drive revenue. We're going to drive revenue by releasing, a new beer every quarter. Is that the goal that you're talking about? And then you start to extrapolate from that,
Sure.
or is it something a bit different?
Yeah, so it can be, right. If your thing right now is that I'm going to produce a new beer every month, every quarter, you want to have that in there. You want to have that planning part in there. You're essentially planning your quarter, planning your months, planning your year, and your weeks out in this organizational platform that you're building. So if you're starting from scratch, you go, okay, my number one thing, I want to drive revenue through our tasting room, right, through our tap room. That's the easiest ROI because it's the most that we don't have to sell through distribution, right? So for us, we can sit here and go, I want to drive traffic to the tap room. That's your big picture goal. Then you're going to go, how can I? Well, if you believe that it's by producing new one-offs every quarter and maybe doing some concerts and maybe doing one other thing, you put those into this section, and then you take that information and you start putting it into your calendars. How can you advertise that the best way? Maybe it's organically plus paid, right? Maybe it's organic, paid, and email. Maybe it's organic, paid, email, and posters and accounts, right? And your sales reps hitting it. For us, when we build out a campaign for that particular side of things, if let's say the campaign or the goal is not just for the tap room. Okay, we have drive more revenue on one side, but then we have let's drive more revenue through sales. So at that point, we're looking at pull through, right? We're trying to get people to take product off the shelf. Well, for me, when we look at these platforms, we're putting an overall goal, and then we're breaking it down on two sides. We're saying, hey, this is all the organic, this is all the tap room, this is how we're going to deal with it in-house. Then here's the other side of how we're going to advertise it outside of that, how we're going to do paid ads, how we're going to do POS for the sales team. And we want it to all be branded similarly, right? We want it to all have the same voice, all have the same goal, all have the same delivery. So we call it 360 marketing, right? I want sales and marketing and tap room or tasting room all working together at the same goal with the same voice and talking about the same product. So that's where these platforms can really help.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, man. I'm aligned with it, but I can't help but think we're going to have people listening going,
Sure.
dude, that sounds like a lot of work. Like, this is a lot to get right. And also, where do you see, like, where's the line between like a brewery of maybe, 4 or 5 people strong? You can probably get to this point versus this is when you need to call in some external help or get another hire in, because I think you can get to a level where it's like, yeah, we want to sell more beer, or we want to, increase footfall in the tap room, but they may not know how to do it effectively. So where's the bit that you go, guys, you get this sorted, and then a team like mine would come in and help with the rest?
Yeah, sure. So I think the best answer to that usually is when you feel like you've maxed out the team that you have, right? When the marketing person that you are working with that's on your team, or the person who's in charge of marketing, maybe it's you because you're doing 7 jobs, right? Where you feel like you're maxed out and you're not getting enough of the information that you and your 2 other teammates are talking about putting into the world. Maybe you're not getting it out there enough. Maybe you're not delivering enough. Maybe your growth isn't where you want it to be. There's a lot of factors that go into when. A lot of times for us, it's when you feel like you've stretched out the team that you have and you go, okay, this is kind of our max of our expertise. Sometimes that's when you realize you have to start doing paid ads. Maybe you've never done paid ads, right? But the big thing about getting organized that I'd love to mention here is that that's where you actually see what you're missing. This is the whole goal of getting organized. Why we tell people get organized first, because right now a lot of people come to us and they go, I need marketing help, I need branding help, I need this. Okay, well where? What's missing? So we typically come in and we're diagnosing what's missing rather than being able to look at something and go, okay, I see that you've been doing really well organically. I see that you're consistent on your emails. We can clean those up design wise a little bit, make them look a little prettier, right? You're getting those out, but you're not doing anything paid. Your sales and your marketing team don't like each other. They're fighting all the time. We can see those gaps. So what I would say is that when you build out something, even if it's a small team of a few people, you're going to go and look at every aspect of your business and you're going to go sales, marketing, tasting room, all of that, and you're going to see what you're doing, what your teammates are doing, and then what is just kind of floating in the ether, right?
Mm.
What's out there? Who's not getting something done? That's when you know, okay, either I'm going to have to suck it up and we're going to have to team up and do it ourselves, or I might have to hire somebody, whether that's in-house or that's someone like us. That's up to you, right? At the end of the day, we just advise that you do make that hire of that person who is better at that than you are.
Mm.
That's what I was taught a long time ago, and I stay consistent to that.
It makes perfect sense, man. And I suppose the question that I've got that leads on from that is, like, anyone, a lot of people could jump onto chat gpt and say, like, give me a marketing plan for the launch of this or to drive revenue, and it could give you like a 25 tick box checklist of all the different ways to market that and what you should be doing, and they could put that into, like you say, Asana or another platform, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But how do they know which ones are the right ones to be investing their time in? Because if they go, yeah, we've got someone who does marketing for 2 days, 2.5 days a week, so we want to make sure we're using their time right before then, like, dealing with the next batch of things that we need to do.
Sure, sure, yeah. So kind of managing the people side of things, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
and prioritizing what's the right stuff to do first.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So, in these platforms, a lot of times there are different ways to actually tag them and prioritize them, right? So we always look at that's where you go and you list everything. It's kind of like a brain dump, right? You brain dump all the marketing, all the sales, all the things that you know that you want to get done right here in this, marketing needs section is what we label it a lot of times in Asana in there, and you put dates if there's dates associated with it, so because that can help you prioritize too.
Mhm.
But then the other side of it, if there's not necessarily dates, you're looking at what's going to make a faster impact, and then we're also looking at what's the low hanging fruit that you can knock out right away. Clean that up, right? Clean the easy stuff up really quick. That should take you a day or two a lot of times. Look at that, clean up what you can clean up, and then go, all right, now there's these 6 big items that I really want to hit. I know that I need to focus on a new strategy for the year. I know that I need to build 3 campaigns for 3 different quarters that are focused on these 3 products. Okay, well, that's where you start prioritizing in order of when you need them by, and then what you're missing from those. But again, that's where you have this here, so you can start organizing them into place. You can say, okay, I have my strategy down. I worked with Tim. He's got me, this big plan ready to go. And I just need to go ahead and start building campaigns around this overarching strategy. So I'm going to start with Q1. I'm going to start with Q2. I'm going to start with Q3, wherever you're at. Sometimes people start too late. A lot of times you need to start way earlier, but that's a
Mm.
whole other conversation. So I would always say prioritize where you feel the most return you're going to get from that. So when you're working with a teammate, you have somebody 2 days a week, and you know that that's their skill set. You go, okay, well, hey, we can handle organic posting. We can handle this. I need you to focus on helping me develop this strategy or this campaign and the materials that are going to be in this campaign for Q1. Please focus on that right now. But again,
Mm.
without having it laid out in front of you, I can almost guarantee you that you don't know that that's your number one focus. You know that you have 7 number one focuses in front of you.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, right? Think about the alternative, which is where these conversations are going on in email back and forth, and there's like a new priority every day. At least by having a system somewhere where it all goes in, there's actually the sense of being kind of more, bless you, more independent. Like, so if you've got someone who's rocking 2.5 days a week and you've been able to give them 2 days worth of work, if they're proactive, they're going to jump in and they're going to be able to know what else they're working on without having to knock on your office door and be like, I finished that, what do I do now? Like, it gives more agency and actually takes a bit of weight off of the owner's shoulders, I should imagine. Does that happen?
That's the goal, right? Is that you as an owner, as the leader, as the head of marketing, if you want to say, if you're just hiring a couple people under you, that's the goal of these platforms. You're putting in this information with your other high level team management side, and you're going, okay, I now know what needs to get done. Let me start delegating. You can assign it to somebody, and you can check that task list from an overarching standpoint. You can go and look at that platform, see what's getting done, review what's getting done, approve it if it needs approval, make notes and comments if it's not ready yet. You're there. You're looking at it from an up top view, which I think that's why we really like telling people to build these platforms, is that so many business owners, it's very easy, and I'm sure I've done it. I'm sure you've done it over years building your business. It's very easy to get just like tuned in. I'm focused in on this thing, and to forget the big picture and forget how that big picture should be working. Where these platforms really help a lot of people is that ownership, that high level person is now looking at the big picture. So if you do still have to go and knock that individual task out, you still can take a step back, sit back and kind of look through your tasks, look through what's going on in the world, make sure that they're doing this, you're doing this, right? So the idea there is that you're now looking at it and you're being reminded, hey, don't forget about the other auxiliary items that need to get done.
Yeah, I get that. And so obviously we talk about this system, or this process or procedure in place. And you mentioned Asana earlier on. For those people who maybe are worried that you're talking about Asana and it is this like this hundreds of thousands of dollars to implement, and what other options are there? Because these are like project management tools, aren't they? Right? For someone who's worked in business, it's a project management tool. There are others out there, but beyond Asana, what else could people do if they're really like money conscious? I mean, is Asana free or
Yeah,
is it?
yeah. So Asana is free on the entry level side of it. It's free, and then it's per seat. It's like $10 a seat. So a lot of times you don't have a huge organization in Asana. A lot of times you want the people who need to be in there. So heads of departments. If you got that big of a company, if it's only 3, 4 owners, you're talking like $40 a month, right? $45 a month, something to that effect. Maybe $55 a month. So you're not talking an expensive fee, and that's for the next level of it. And for these extras that you want to get that can allow you to do some really fun automated features in Asana. If you want it to be free, you just do the free version. You can have it as the free version for as long as you think you can handle it. You'll know when you don't want the free version anymore. It always happens. You start seeing these other. You can try free trials. It'll show you all these features. I always recommend people, hey, go try the free trial. See if you want them, because you might want some of. There's a lot of automation that can be built in it. But Asana is free. It's easy to use. If you want to spend a little bit of money, there's things like Monday. There's HubSpot's got task tracking in it as well. We picked Asana because it's free. It's got an easy app. You can set it up for notifications. It's so simple to use. It's literally why we picked it, because we did all these other ones. We worked through all these other platforms, and we said, what are brewers going to use?
Mm,
Where can I
sure.
get my brewers involved the most? Brewer
And
owners.
to confirm, Warren doesn't take a cut every time someone signs up
No,
for Asana, by the
I,
way. He's
I
just a big
wish.
fan of it.
I wish. I tried to be an ambassador or whatever they call it for them. They denied me. Shout
No.
out to Sana for denying me.
They won't be listening. It's cool. We're not there yet. Give it time. We will grow. We will take over the world.
Yeah.
But say someone goes, okay, I'll give Asana a go. I'll try the free version. Like, what are they doing? Like, what are the buckets that they've got to set up? Like, you talk about just like brain dumping, right? But brain dumping onto one sheet probably isn't the right way to do it. There's got to be categories or something that they need to bear in mind. What are those?
For sure. So we always build ours definitely more with a marketing focus, right? So bear that in mind. You can build yours however you see fit, and it might work differently for your company. But there's the section that's called projects. And it's a little plus button, and all you're doing is you're adding names of products. We've got a creative request section where any designs that are needed, big, small, medium, whatever, they come in through there. They have a due date. There's a spot where you can upload a bar's logo. You can write the copy or write the information. Hey, it's from 5 to 7 p.m. We're giving out samples of this new beer, blah, blah, blah. You can put it in there. It's there. It's assigned to whoever your design person is with the due date. That's why we do it too. Due dates, everybody. Stop telling your designer ASAP. We hate that. But you put, creative requests. You've got marketing needs. That's our general dump. That's our general anything marketing related, events. Your small little party, a small event coming up at a bar, trivia nights that you've now scheduled weekly, whatever music that's going to be on the calendar, you can put it all in there. From there, we build a social calendar section, and in Asana, you can create different layouts. You can create a calendar layout, you can create a list layout. So there's a lot of fun layouts that you can use. You build a social calendar. It's a calendar layout. It tells you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday through the weekend, right? We put sometimes we've done it where it's very detailed in each little task. There's a photo and copy written. Sometimes it's just, if you're, especially when you're on your own, you're doing it yourself, it's a title to remind you that's your post. And then it's a little bit of copy, or maybe it's an image. But if anything, you're building this out 3 weeks in advance, so it's a reminder for you to go get that content well before that day. So we're building this out in advance. Then there's an ad calendar side. You can build your ads in there. You can say when they start, when they end, ad budgets for each ad. What's the focus and the goal on them. Put it all in this one little task, and mark it, task dated, somebody. Email, same thing. If there's other needs in there, maybe there's a media outreach section that you're working on PR. Cool. You've got all your PR lists in there, who you've reached out to, and the status that they're at that point, where they are. Are they, cold? Are they hot? You can mark all this with different colors. So, I say my number one's creative requests, marketing needs, and some kind of digital calendar. And from there, you can build out your other ones.
So then, like, that makes a lot of sense. So say we've got the digital calendar set up, and like it's a trivia night. Let's use that as an example for the event.
Sure.
Then is it like you click on that, and within trivia night, you got to do 3 social posts, and they're on this date. You got to include it on this newsletter. Like, how do you kind of like cross-reference that back to your marketing needs and wants? Is it all connected, or are you expected to remember it's in different places?
No. So let's say trivia is in marketing needs, right? You'll have trivia night, and then within trivia night, it'll say, maybe it's got the next 2 themes of trivia. Maybe one's like Friends themed, and one's Dungeons and Dragons, whatever. Like you've got 2 themes coming up. That's in marketing needs, and they've got dates next to them. So then in the calendar on the social side, you go plan your post out to promote those events. So if let's say 2 Tuesdays from now is trivia, that's Dungeons and Dragons, you might have 3 posts leading up to that trivia night, right? That's where you're putting it in the social calendar. You're going to say, hey, trivia night, event page, Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe you have 2 stories between the next post. Then you have a post, and you have another 2 stories, and you have a post. But this is laid out on your social calendar side. So you're feeding your digital calendar from your marketing needs. You're also feeding your email calendar from your marketing needs, and you're feeding your ad calendar from your marketing needs. And what you're doing is you're deciphering which of those items need to be paid, need to be organic, need to be direct, right? Email marketing direct, paid, and social being organic. So on that side, we're literally going, okay, well, trivia can be organic, but I've got product going into a new territory, and I don't want to have to post 7 times reminding people that we're now selling in this new territory. I'm going to post it maybe once, but I'm going to run ads in the background for 2.5 weeks telling people, hey, we're now available in this territory. Click this link to see our beer finder, and you'll know what stores are going to have our product. And so that's how we can kind of decipher that, right? We can separate that a little bit. Oh, I've got 12 events coming up. Well, sometimes your social calendar or your organic posting can get really clogged up with taproom only stuff. So that's where we use that. We take that marketing needs section, and we go, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to do some of that on social. I'm going to do some of that, maybe 2 events that are big. I can target them with paid tickets, right? I can do some paid ads. And then I've got a few of them that I just need to make sure they get love. Well, they're going to go on my email marketing calendar. I've got 2 emails going out between now and that event. I'm going to make sure that those events are in that email. So you're taking that marketing needs and you're deciphering it into your different columns of marketing and how you can get it out there.
Okay. I think that's a really important topic to start to unpack a little bit more, if you're okay with that, Warren, where it is that the different needs around planning for those different kind of content types. Like you say, you don't want a social channel to be bogged down and just like, oh, this is our next upcoming event. And whenever anyone's following you, that's all they're getting. But Can you talk me through that again? Like the idea of going, well, yeah, you probably want to do maybe 2 or 3 posts organically, but then you're going to fund some, so it's not going to appear in your stories and on your posts, but it's going to be somewhere else. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, when we're running a meta ad, a lot of times it's probably something that we've already posted about once or twice, but it's something that we don't want to just bombard everybody with, right? We want to keep our social, especially like when you're leaning into the Instagram and these other platforms that are for the younger generation, even so to speak, right? Makes me feel old when I say that, but you know, we're got limited time, right? So we don't want it to just be selling to them the whole time. So sometimes you have a lot of lifestyle imagery that has to live on your Instagram, that might have to live on your TikToks or whatever it might be. Some fun stuff, some stuff that's people enjoying themselves. Maybe you can't advertise that event, even though you know you're like, man, I got 100 tickets to sell still, right? I want to get these tickets out there. So what we're doing is we're kind of going, okay, well, I posted about this. I don't have anything interesting and new to say about this yet. Maybe I'm announcing breweries that are attending my beer fest, right? But I don't have any new ones that week. I'm going to have an ad running in the background no matter what. So I'm not stressing. I know that my ad is working for me while I sleep or while I do other organic stuff. Because if I've got this one event over here, I don't want, you know, the tap room to take a hit and not get its love that week. I don't want sales team to be upset because we haven't done enough posts about our core products in the last month and a half. I want to make sure that we're delivering on all these channels and all these aspects.
Okay, man. It makes me chuckle because I think I can just hear people go, dude, this is so much work. I can't handle it. But I know I've heard you talked about what was it, the bare bones but brilliant setup before,
Yes.
man. So for like a 1 or 2 person team, what's bare bones but brilliant?
Yes. Marketing needs, creative requests, and a digital calendar.
Those things.
That's your bare bones. And I know it sounds scary. It's really not. The hardest part is 100% the dumping all that into the system. Once you dump everything that because I know everybody, most of you have it in your brain. If you don't, that probably means you should be talking to somebody who is marketing minded because you have to think that way nowadays. There's too many breweries, there's too many brew pubs, there's too many places that are your competitors. You can't be the only one not marketing. But if you are thinking about that, you just don't know what to do with it, just dump it in here. I promise you, the stress or the seemingly scary part of this is that dump. Once it's in there, you go, all right, you're literally sitting back. You can see it on your screen and you can know what you can accomplish on your own. You can know what you can accomplish as a team of 2. And then you'll know what you need to pay somebody part-time, pay somebody full-time, hire an agency, hire a consultant, whatever for, right? And if that's not on the table, you'll know that you two just have to kind of dive in and do it, but you'll have it laid out. So that number one thing is dropping everything that you know you need to focus on. Marketing and sales can be under marketing needs. It's okay. Drop it in there and put your goals, put your number one marketing needs, whether it's events, maybe it's tastings, maybe it's something like that. Put that in there. Maybe it's that you're in a new market. Put that on there. And then you'll know what you need to do from there because then you can start separating it. It's really not as much work as it seems.
Don't be afraid of the dump is what Warren is saying right now, people.
It also, I will say this too, it also, in a good and a bad way, it makes you realize that maybe you can't do it all on your own. I hate to say that. I think in this industry, it's a bunch of DIYers, right? We got a lot of people who have been homebrewers for years. I can do all of it. I'm smart. I'm not saying you're not smart. I'm saying that you should hire people to help you because you can't do it on your own. Especially as you grow, you won't be able to do it on your own. You can do it on your own, but when you can't, you'll know. It's quick.
Yeah, the signs are there, and I suppose it's okay if they don't get it all on there in the first go. Because what do you reckon? Like they should check in every week and be like, okay, what else have we realized? Or at the end of the day, just give yourself 10 minutes to go in and update that board and add anything else that has sprung to mind.
Yeah, so I live with Asana open on my computer. It's there all day, every day. It's on my app on my phone. So here's the fun part. If you have it up and you say, okay, I got admin day before I have to go make beer. I got an admin day. I'm going to hop on Asana. I'm going to go through my tasks. I'm going to complete the ones that I completed. I'm going to put due dates or priorities on the ones that I think I need to knock out this week. I'm going to put secondary priorities on the ones that I can push to next week, and so on. So I'm going to categorize them with colors if you want, prioritize them, and say, okay, I only got to knock out these 3 tasks this week. And I got to do a photo shoot to get 5 photos for 5 different posts for the next 2 weeks. I've got to do this. Cool. I'm going to go knock them out. I think that if you can take that time, that admin day, and do that, and then you got to go brew and then check back in on your thing later on in the week for another hour, you'll be fine. You don't really need, the largest part is that dump. Once you're done there, it's really continuing to add more and clean it up. Once you add and you do this dump, and then once you build, let's say, your social calendar, again, when I say build your social calendar, I say put a word or 2 words that might remind you about that post for the next 3 weeks. Put different ones that you know need to get done based off of your marketing needs for the next 2 to 3 weeks. You'll then go, okay, I know that now I need to get the photographer in house, or I need to do my photos. You'll know that I need to get 4 beer labels designed because I have those beers coming up in the next 3 or 4 weeks, and I need to make sure that I have T-shirts, whatever, right, available. So I need to hit my T-shirt guy. So you're taking that information and you're going, okay, let me make sure that I've got T-shirt guy, email shot to him. Good, let's go. Labels are done. I sent them off for print. Cool. Now I'm building my posts and I'm there. And you can put it as little reminders. You don't have to write out the post every time. Sometimes it's easier for people to go, oh, let me check Asana today. And this is where owners will really appreciate it, I think. It's on the phone, right? So I go, what's today? My task for today. Oh, yeah, that's right. Let me check my content calendar. Man, yeah, you're right. I got a story and I've got a post I got to do. I've already got the image that I took yesterday or last week. Hopefully it's last week. Maybe it was today, whatever. But you've already got it there. Let me take, 10 minutes, type up this post, post it. Let me add this story, right? Take it out there. Once you get good at it, you can write the copy in each post. And then all you're doing is copy and pasting, saving the photo, pressing the post button, and going to work. And you're ready to go.
And I'm guessing, like, people don't have to reinvent the wheel every time. If you've got like a structure to this is a product launch and these are what the same 10 things we have to do every time a beer comes out, there's kind of like a copy and paste approach to that, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. We literally have full structures that are standard or what was the stationary in a project. Sometimes it might be product launch project. And in that project, it'll have the product launch that's coming up, and it'll have every phase. It'll be planning. It'll be, preparing materials. It'll be, preparing calendar. It'll be launch, push, team meetings in that, whatever. All that's there. So you're just looking at that's for that bigger picture, right? Where you do have the team helping you, and so you can build these there. If you're looking at it and you're the small team and you're trying to have these built in there, you can put the same things in place. You can say, hey, this is the types of posts that I want to do. You can say, this is the imagery that I need to have. You can even drop a folder that has all your photos that your photographer took. It's a link through Google Drive or whatever. You click it, where your photos live. They can be right here on your phone under a task, right? So it can live there for you to easily do it. You don't have to do your posts in here. I want to say that real quick. Some people love using third-party softwares to plan and auto post. And I personally don't love third-party softwares. It's not my thing for the auto posting side. We like to do a lot more manual work. But if let's say you're using Meta's tools and you're pre-planning, that's okay. You can take this info, start plugging it in there with your copy and stuff, but you already have this planned out, this bullet point, so to speak, that's on a date and 3 words that say, trivia night, Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, that's right, that's next week. I got a post on that. And then you get on Meta and you plan your post, you write it up, you put your image on, and you're good to go. You can set it to post for later. So I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that.
Good shout. I guess like loads of people just be like, I want to see an example of this. I want to see how this is set out, which might not be possible to do. But can you point the listeners and watchers of this in the direction of someone who might be really reaping the benefits of this? Like you might not see what's going on in the back end, but if you check out their socials and their comms, they've got it on lock. It's really, really organized.
Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Let me pull up a good one or two here. Some of the better ones I would say would be there's a company, Oliphant Brewing, that benefits from it. Underberg America benefits from it pretty well. And then I would say that these big brands, if I had to pick a brand that I can tell you right now that they're very organized. I don't know what platform they're using. I don't know what software they're using, but I can tell you that their organization level is probably peak. It would be Allagash out of Portland, Maine. They are the ideal social channels to look at. And based off of photography alone, I can tell you that they are planning way ahead. They are meaningful in their planning, and they are meaningful in their photography and their storytelling. So that's the big piece here, is that you might not be great at this right away just because you added marketing needs and a content calendar. You're going to start getting it cleaned up. Number one thing, you're going to start posting more frequently. Your numbers are going to go up because you're being consistent. Then you're going to go, okay, I got this. I'm feeling good. What can I improve on? Then you can slowly start to add those new things. Well, maybe I'll hire a photographer. I have a vision of where I want my brand to go. Or I worked with Tim, and now I know where my brand strategy needs to be. And I'm going to go ahead and get that content for that. And it's more meaningful now. These planning structures and this idea of strategy organization or structure for your marketing is that now you're freeing up time for you to do proper planning and meaningful conversating with your following and meaningful conversations with your people. So Allagash is my number one favorite one out there that does just a fantastic job with their storytelling. And I can tell you, I don't know what they're using, but they're using something.
Dude. Okay, everyone, check out Allagash. I'm sure most of you have seen it, but go and have a proper look with this in mind, with Warren's sage words in your mind.
Yeah.
Go and dissect what they're doing. You're like, oh, okay, I see these guys and girls. They're organized. I get it. So obviously we're talking about the benefits of internally being organized and having this on lock, but can you speak to the strengths of then working with outside partners or agencies? Because that's going to save time, that's going to save money, right? They're not going to be paying for all the extra bits and the fact finding because it's already there. Am I correct, or am I just like hoping for the best?
So yes, there's a few sides to that I think that people can benefit from, right? So on a small scale, let's say you just hired somebody on social media and they're like, hey, I need digital marketing help. I hired a person, they're cheaper, they're a new marketer, they're younger, but they don't necessarily, maybe they're not there, maybe they're not in-house, right? They don't necessarily know where your brain's at, what your brain needs. Stop thinking that we can read your minds. We can't. Not that good. Not yet. One day. But we need to know what's in your brain and what's in your heart, right? And what you want to push your brand. So that's where you still dump in there. And again, once you do that big dump, these little dumps that you do weekly are smaller. You're not spending hours. You're spending 30 minutes or so adding new things in there and assigning them to your marketing person. Then your marketing person can take that and they're going to deliver. They're going to go out there. They're going to make the content. They're going to make the imagery. They're going to take the photos. They're going to do the posts. And then you can see from high level what that looks like. So what I'd say on that, even that small scale, all the way to the big scale, is that you're still having that point of contact with that person who's maybe in-house that's brain dumping in there. Unless you're paying, someone to be your fractional CMO or that high level, who that person should be also doing that and be that mouthpiece to the people below that who need the implementation side for them. But if you're just hiring a team to do your implementation, but hey, this is what I want, you have to dump it in here. You put in the information in there, and then you can discuss it in Zoom meetings and all the other fun stuff. But you dump this info in there for them to plan and put out. And then you, as an owner, as a CMO, whatever it is, you're looking at the big picture. You're going, okay, looks like the next 3 weeks on the content calendar, they're hitting everything. Ad calendar looks good. Oh, you know what? I think we can get one more email in there about this product launch. Let's go ahead, type up a little note, ad calendar in the product launch. Let's go. Team knows now, they're ready. So when you're looking at working with a company like this is huge, right? Like people struggle. They're like, I never really got anything out of the agency. Well, to be honest, half the time when you work with an agency, and we deal with it all the time, it's what you put in. people hire an agency many times and then they go, let me set it, forget it. But this app and these softwares and this structure, this is meant to remind you that you need to put this in, or the team that you hired isn't going to know what to do. They're not going to know where to go. If they're hired to do the implementation, if they're hired to do everything and they're your big people and they're your director of marketing and the implementation, well, then they need to dive in. They need to work with you and they need to pull that info out of you like teeth at a dentist. Because I know it's like pulling teeth from most owners. Sorry, guys, love you, but it is. But I would say when you're working with an agency, something like this should be there, or at least loosely there. If you're unable to do it, you need to work with somebody to do it. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. You're gonna have to pay somebody to build it for you. But if you think you can build it yourself, or at least the baseline, man, go do it. Do it to a point where you've hit your limit and max out all your potential, and then you're ready for an agency.
Okay. I've got one more question for you, Warren, but before I do that, I do need to ask the one that's popped up in the chat feed here from Henry over on LinkedIn. And it's a slight diversion, but obviously he hears that we're talking about marketing. So he wants to hear about marketing alcohol-free beers and how it's different to other craft beers out there. I know I've got my opinions on this, but Warren, dude, you're the guest, so fire away, man. Talk to us about
I love it. Yeah. So the number one thing and the most fun part of alcohol-free beers is that I can do paid advertising a lot easier. I can direct to consumer that product. I can build my paid ads to actually sell and ship to your door. Whereas regular beer, we can't do that. We can't advertise that way. So the big thing right off the top of my head is like, hey, I need to get my ad calendar going because there's got to be easy stuff to do there. In terms of alcohol-free versus alcohol specifically, just in general marketing, really depends on the audience that you're going after. And I'm going to use a couple examples, right? One, athletic, right? Huge non-alcoholic brand. Athletic Brewing is giant here in the States. Their number one thing is like fitness, like you're drinking this, you're a runner, that's their audience. My thing as an alcohol-free brand, I would immediately come in and go, who's your audience? Who are you talking to? Who's your goal? Because these people are talking the healthy fitness, I'm trying to think of the workouts, the hardcore workouts that people do.
CrossFit or Hydrox.
Yeah,
Hydrox or what? Yeah.
CrossFit. These people are advertising to those folks, right? But then there's other alcohol-free avenues. It can be people like me who have been in the industry for so long that I love a good alcohol-free beer. If it's good tasting product, I'm probably drinking a non-alcoholic beer when I'm out working. At least I'm going to zebra stripe, right? I'm going to drink one and then drink a regular beer and drink one and drink a regular beer so that I can maintain good consciousness and focus and conversation throughout a long night. And so what I would say is you need to figure out that audience. That's the number one thing that I think these alcohol-free brands need to really reel in. Sometimes they don't all have their audience. They just say, well, I'm an alcoholic-free brand. I'm marketing everybody who's sober or partial sober or potentially sober or sober-ish or trying to be sober. I think that you got to figure out what that looks like for you and really hone in on that market, right? Because there's so many avenues of alcohol-free, I think, that are different lifestyles of people that you can go, that's my lifestyle. I don't need to hit Athletics brand. I can't keep up with Athletic. They're, one of the multi-million-dollar company in the States now, and nobody's keeping up with Athletic money-wise. So don't try. Take your audience and focus in on who you are and why you're doing it. Because most NA brands that I've spoken to, I feel like they have a reason why. Why'd you decide to do this? What's in your heart? Of making this alcohol-free product. We build customer avatars a lot, and I'm sure you have a similar format that you send to a customer and say, hey, fill this out. Find one, talk to Tim, find one online, do whatever, fill out customer avatars, have your whole team do it. Everyone's going to be different, and then focus in on what avatars you want to focus on.
Yeah, I was talking to a content creator here in the UK, a guy called Ben Gibbs, just last week, the week before. The show's going to drop in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
depending on when you're listening to this now. And he was saying it's a really interesting kind of an interesting quandary for breweries to have if they're not like just alcohol free, like they're releasing an alcohol free beer alongside their alcoholic stuff, because those, a certain fraction of the audience who don't drink anymore, they don't actually want to be like marketed to that they've got the alcohol free beer. There's almost an expectation. It's like, well, you're going to have a couple of good ones in the fridge, right? So his argument was almost like the best marketing strategy is not to market it at all. It's just, you've got to have one, which clearly isn't always going to benefit someone. But if you are talking to a brewery who maybe is looking to launch an alcohol-free beer alongside their traditional alcohol range, would the approach or would the recommendation change a little?
No, I mean, I think that you still have to figure out who or why you're targeting that. I mean, there are a lot of options to help you generate more revenue. If it's just that you want to have that product in house because you see the trends of like it becoming more zebra striping out there, and because I don't think that everybody's just going sober. I think that people are drinking more intently. They're trying to drink what they want to drink. And when they're not drinking, they will go to an NA beer. Or when they don't feel like drinking that night, they'll go to an NA beer. I don't think that everyone's going sober because the world's just not suddenly flipping a switch and going sober. So I think that if you're an alcoholic brand and you are making NA beer, treat it like a product launch, but treat it like a product launch with a very specific target, which, to be honest, you should probably have that for any of your new products, unless it's a very similar product. If you're creating a new product line, when you're launching that product, you should have specific elements that you're promoting behind that. You should have campaigns that you're running with that. You should have marketing that you're focused on with that, because I mean, that's part of product launching, right?
100%. All right, dude, let's put a bow on this bad boy, because this has been a fantastic conversation and I really, really value your time, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
But you're sat at a tap room, you sat at a bar, you sat next to a brewer, and it's like, oh, I got to jump in a cab in 2 minutes. Like, how would you condense everything we've talked about into those 2-minute takeaway advice for any brewer who's listening right now before they jump in that cab?
Yes. Get organized right away. Do it as soon as possible. Get organized. I don't care how you get organized. Put it somewhere and get accountability. Organization and accountability. Have somebody in there with you, or have it make it where your due dates are accountability to yourself, right? But get organized, because at the end of the day, that's what you need. I promise. I mean, it's tough when you're not organized. You don't know what you're missing and what you're failing at.
Mm-hmm. Warren, man, thank you so much. If people love what you're talking about, if they want to pick your brains more and like kind of understand a little bit more about getting organized and getting that accountability in their lives, where can they find you in the team?
Yeah. Beermarketeers.com. Right there is us. You can hit us up on there. There's a phone number. There's an email. Email me. I'm on LinkedIn, Warren Bondi, Warren Troy Bondi, I believe. Facebook the same way. I'm pretty easy to get in touch with. I am the info at Beer Marketeers email. There is no Warren at Beer Marketeers. He doesn't exist. It is only info.
Amazing. Warren, again, thank you so much for your time today, buddy. Everyone who's listening, everyone who's tuned in or will be listening later on, you all rock. The brand weaver loves you. Stay awesome, people.